Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. And in today's video, we'll be talking about the weekly analysis, right, on the Forex market. So we'll be going through the various pairs, the various pairs that I trade. USOIL, gold, BTC, NASDAQ, and probably S&P 500. So without much ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so this is USOIL. And we are on the 1 hour time frame, right? So let's dig deep. So last week I mentioned that if USOIL is able to break above this blue line, right, then I'll be going in for buys, because at that point then it means USOIL has broken above a major resistance and it's going to climb up. But then it failed to break above it, right? You can see here we have a 1 hour candle, right, that closed. It spiked out of the zone that I was looking out for, but then it closed right within the zone again. And then right after that, we had a few red candles and a few green candles. And so this is basically some form of consolidation going on. This is basically some form of consolidation. So once I spotted this form of consolidation, I realized, okay, probably USOIL is going to drop and sell. So I was a bit hesitant, but then when it got to this point, I realized, no, USOIL is definitely going to sell. So I went in for a sell and my stop loss right above here. And that was it. And I was able to bag in some profit, right? So you can see here, I bagged in some profit. Yeah, so I'm going to delete this because it's no longer relevant. Okay, so let's get into today's video. All right, so USOIL last week failed to break this price point, which is $60 per barrel. USOIL failed to break $60 per barrel price point. So it came all the way to this point, trying to break it, couldn't break, went up, came down again. So this is clearly what we call the double bottom. You can see here, we dropped from here to here, went up, came down again to almost the same we call low, and went back up. Okay, but what I'm seeing now is looking at all the economic indicators and everything that's going on worldwide, it looks like USOIL is going to be bearish. Okay, so that is what I have gathered so far based on the news I've been reading and everything so far. It looks like USOIL is going to be bearish. So what I can see here is, even though we have a double bottom formed here, mostly double bottoms means that we are going up, right? We are going to be bullish. But the problem here is, for the double bottom to completely be valid, right, we need to break the neckline. Okay, and here lies the case. Even though this is the neckline, you can see here this is the neckline. It looks like we've broken the neckline, but though we have broken the neckline, right, the other thing is we have some form of resistance forming here, as you can see. So I'm going to draw a zone here, and the market has touched this point a couple of times. You can see here the market has touched this point, so you can see market touched it here, touched it here, touched it here, here, and here. Okay, so right now you can see that USOIL is playing around that same resistance zone. Okay, so what we are going to do is, when the market opens, hopefully this, I think a few hours from now, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours from now, market is going to open. When the market opens, what I'm going to do is just watch out for any rejections, right? I'm going to watch out for rejection candles. And if the market fails to break above this green zone, okay, if we fail to break above this green zone, so we might break above it, right? And that's what I mostly call the spikes or the wicks. So you can see something like this, where we see a long candle form and then come down to close below the zone. Okay, so if we have a wicks, that's okay, but then I'm not going in for buys with wicks. If for me to go in for a buy, I should see a candle, a strong green candle form and close above this zone. Okay, mostly if it's an H4 candle, that would be great, that would be very perfect. But then if it's an H1 candle, I'll just keep my eye out and watch out for the following 1 or 2 more candles to see how they behave before I finally go in for my buy. But then I'm more bearish on USOIL. I believe USOIL is going to sell. So what I'm going to do is, once I realize that USOIL rejects this price point, this zone, this green box that I've drawn here, once I see rejections, that is, we don't see a 4-hour candle close above it, right, then we know that it's probably rejecting, and then I'll go in for a sell Okay, so this would be my sell. Shit, this would be my sell. Okay, so I'll probably go in for a sell for something like with my stop loss around here, and then probably my entry will be somewhere here. The worst case scenario, my entry might be somewhere around here, or even let's say worst case scenario, my entry is here outside the box. Okay. All right. So if my entry is outside the box, right, but down here, and then my stop loss is going to be outside the box but up here, okay, and then I'll be targeting to take my profits around somewhere here. Okay, so probably this is like 1:3 risk reward ratio, and if I go in with 2 entries, okay, then I can close the second one somewhere around here. Okay, but seeing that I'm highly bearish on US oil, I might go in for 3 entries and then close the third one, and probably close the third one somewhere here. Okay. All right, so that is my analysis on US oil. I'm highly bearish on US oil until we see an H4 candle close above the zone. I'm highly bearish on US oil. So that's my analysis on US oil. And once we get here, let's watch out for how the candles are going to form, and let's see if it's able to break below the $60 per barrel price point. Once we're able to break below it, then we know we are going in for a major sell all the way to this point, which is $57.87 per barrel price point. So that is my analysis for US oil for this week. Okay, so without much ado, let's now move to the next pair, which is gold. Let's pick up gold. All right, gold I mentioned from last week has been highly bullish. Okay, so we'll go to the higher time frame again, H4, and we can see that gold, I drew this small minor trend line in here, and we can see gold has been climbing this trend line nicely. So this is the first point. This is the first point. Went up, came down, went rallied all the way up, but couldn't break the previous high. Came down to touch the trend line again, and then rallied all the way up. Okay, came down again to touch the trend line, and we are going all the way up again. Okay, so what I'm going to be looking out for is any retracements, right? Any selling I see in gold is going to be an opportunity to buy. So let's come down to the 1 hour time frame. But before we do that, let's just look on our left. Let's see how the candles formed on our left. That gives us a clear indication of where gold is looking out to go to. So looking at the candles on our left, you can see clearly that gold is now targeting this price point. Okay, gold is now targeting this price point, and once it breaks above this price point, then gold will now be targeting what's this price point. Okay, so that's how I do my analysis. Very simple top-down analysis. Just zoom out to the higher time frame. Okay, and then from there you can be able to see clearly how the market is behaving and how it is reacting to previous price points and how it's going to react. So from there, you can see clearly that gold is targeting these 2 price points, this and then this. And once it clears them, then it's going to create a new all-time high. So let's come down to our lower time frame, which is 1 hour. Okay. And here we can see clearly that gold just broke this previous price points, as you can see here, and then it targeted this next price points, and it got to that place, and now it is forming some kind of consolidation. So what I want to see is gold drop a little bit, okay, to come down to this level. So all I want to see is gold dropping from where it is now to come down to somewhere around this level, and then use this previous higher high as a new stepping stone, or a new, there is a term for it, but I've just forgotten. You should probably just use this previous higher high as a stepping stone to climb higher. Okay. So let's take our long position, right? So since I'm expecting gold to drop to this around this price point, all I'm going to do is put my long position here and drag my stop loss all the way to, as you can see here, the candles waxed out to somewhere around here. So all I'm expecting is that My stop loss will be somewhere around here, right? Entry somewhere around here, and then my TP should be, yeah, so TP1 will be here. Okay, TP1 will be here, and then TP2 would be here. Okay, that's it. Gold is looking very bullish and looking good. And with all the economic uncertainty, Trump now mentioning that he wants to add another 50% tariff on the European Union trade. All this just gives indication that gold is going to go bullish. Okay, so yeah, that's everything I see here. I can see gold coming down all the way to this level, right? Doing some one or two movements around here and then jumping all the way back up. So my entries on gold is going to be very simple. Once gold gets to this price level, I'm going to put my entry here, my stop loss here, and then my TP1 here and TP2 here. So that is it on gold. Okay, and now let's move to the next pair. That will be what BTC. Yeah. So BTC, right? Last week I mentioned BTC is going to clear the all-time high. This has been the all-time high on BTC. So let's go to a weekly time frame. You can see that this is BTC. This is the entire BTC, and this was the previous all-time high. And BTC just cleared the all-time high, right? So BTC just cleared the all-time high. So I'm going to come down again to 4-hour time frame. Going to come down to the 4-hour time frame, right? Since BTC has cleared all-time high, what is happening here? You can see clearly when I come down to a 1-hour time frame, you can see clearly BTC formed what? A double top. After clearing the all-time high, it formed a double what? Top. As you can see, I formed it twice. So BTC formed a double top here. Up. So sorry. So up, down, up again, and then down, up again, down, up, and then final down. So this is some form of consolidation, right? But you can clearly also see it in the form of a double top. I think when you go to probably 2-hour time frame, yeah, or maybe 3-hour. Okay, yeah, it's much clearer that BTC formed some form of double top and dropped. Okay, so just to give you context, right? BTC just didn't drop. It dropped as a result of some fundamental news that dropped. So the US failed to sell their 20-year treasury bond, and that caused BTC to drop all the way to this point. And then BTC was able to gather some momentum to come back up, but then it dropped again when Trump mentioned the tariffs with the European Union, and that caused BTC to drop again. But then BTC gathered momentum to climb up again. But all I see is every time BTC sells, I see it as an opportunity to buy more. Okay, so all I'm going to do is anytime BTC is selling, I'm just buying. Once BTC is selling, I'm just buying, and I'm not just buying out of the blue. Okay, I'm looking at strategic zones that I think BTC is going to fall to, and then I buy from that point. So if you should come here, right? Come on, load, come on. My internet is probably choppy. Let's just give it a minute or two. It should load. Alright. Looks like my internet is trying to give up on me. But we'll still do the video regardless. Yeah, so you can see from here that BTC was choppy when it got to this price level. Okay, BTC was choppy a lot when it got to this level. So when I saw BTC dropping, right, all I did was once it got here, I just bought again and then closed around somewhere around here, because it was that was on Thursday. Yeah, I closed somewhere around here. It dropped again on Friday, and then I bought again and then closed because I knew that was Friday, because the weekend is coming. BTC is going to drop again, and then gather momentum when the weekday starts. So I closed somewhere around here, and then BTC dropped again over the weekend, and today I bought again around here, just exactly around here, because anytime BTC drops to this zone, I just buy and then hold up to the previous all-time high, close it there. Once I see some kind of consolidation, I buy again and then close it at the next all-time high. So that's been it on BTC. I'm highly bullish on BTC as well. Anytime I see a drop, I just look out for a nice zone that I know BTC is going to drop to, and then I buy from there. So as you can see, this is a nice zone that BTC has consistently been dropping to and then rising up again from. So anytime you see BTC selling to this point, just buy and then hold it and then just enjoy the ride. Okay, but you just have to be wary a little bit. If BTC crosses, right, if it drops below this zone and then closes with a huge bearish candle below this zone, then you should know that, okay, maybe there is some fundamental news that caused it to drop, and we should probably just wait a little bit on our buys until probably it's one thing about the market is when there's a fundamental news that's released, right, that causes the market to enter into fear and panic, and they start selling. Right? They don't just sell indefinitely, they definitely sell to some point. So what will happen is they will sell to a point, and it's mostly so obvious, right? So when BTC started selling, I could tell that BTC is coming right to this zone, because you can see a lot of choppy market candlesticks right here. So BTC sold right into that zone and I bought. So if BTC is able to break this zone and come below it because of some kind of news again, all I know is that BTC would then drop all the way to this point, this blue line, touching this trend line, and then rallying back up. So all I'll do is if I buy and then BTC drops, right, and breaks below this zone, mostly when I buy, my stop loss is mostly right below this zone, so that if it breaks below this zone, I know that, okay, my buy is invalidated, and then I just wait. I normally just wait. Once it breaks and comes down to this level, I will just buy again. But I'm highly bullish on BTC, okay? So without much ado, most of my trades on BTC this week is just going to be this. Anytime BTC gets to this zone, buy, stop loss right here, and then TP all the way here. Mostly I divide my trades into 2 or 3 TPs, right? So TP1 definitely will be on the previous all-time high, and TP2 on the new all-time high that has been set just this week. So that is it on my analysis for BTC. BTC is still highly bullish, and I'm highly optimistic on BTC. So now let's go to NASDAQ, my all-time favorite, but then it has been killing me a lot lately. But then who am I? Oh yes, I have to make do of what I have. Okay, so this is NASDAQ. I was highly bullish on NASDAQ as well, but then it didn't go as planned. So around Wednesday, yeah, exactly on Wednesday, I was buying NASDAQ with my TP all the way to the all-time high, hoping that NASDAQ is going to break the all-time high. But then the fundamental news was released once again, which is when the US failed to sell the 20-year bond, and that caused NASDAQ to drop heavily, right? So you can see this huge bearish candles. That was when NASDAQ dropped, and I got taken out of my trade, but that is fine. So we saw a little bit of consolidation here, and then on Friday again, when Trump mentioned the 50% tariffs on the European Union trades, that caused NASDAQ to drop again all the way to this level. So what is going to happen is you can see right when it dropped to this level, it picked up again, and then it's buying all the way up. So that's one thing I always say. The market will never sell indefinitely. When the market is moving toward a particular trend, right? So you can see here NASDAQ is highly bullish all the way from this point to this point. NASDAQ is highly bullish. So if the market is gearing towards a particular direction and there's a fundamental news that's released which caused the market to move in the opposite direction, don't panic. Don't start moving in the opposite direction at once. Just look out for key levels that you think the market is going to drop to, okay? And then you just wait. And then look out for how the candles are going to form and react on those key levels, and then from there you can take your entries again. So right when NASDAQ dropped from here to here, I realized that, okay, even though it's around this point, I was just waiting. I didn't buy anymore because I knew if the candles are not forming right well, you could see that the candles are just consolidating. So this is a clear indication that the investors were still not sold on the fact that they should continue buying NASDAQ. So you could see it was the whole market was just choppy. And then on Friday, when there was further information to give investors a more informed decision on what to do, they just sold. And they didn't sell indefinitely. You can see they sold to this point. Exactly when it touched the trend line, they were buying again. So that's mostly what I do. When the market sells to these key levels, I just look out for them and then I start buying from that level. So once again, I am still highly bullish on NASDAQ. You can see here, even though we touched the trend line, we went up, we came down again. So all I'll be expecting is once NASDAQ touches this red line, right, I'll just put my stop loss right here. Okay, and then I'll break my trade into 3. I'm still highly bullish on NASDAQ. Okay, so 1 will be targeting the all-time high. 1 will be targeting the previous all-time high, which is this level. And then another one will be targeting somewhere here. Yeah, just for security reasons. So this is how I'm going to break my NASDAQ trades into 3. Entries here on this red line, stop loss below here, and first TP here, second TP here, and then third TP on the all-time high level. So this is my analysis on NASDAQ. Yeah, I think we've covered all the major pairs that I normally trade: BTC, gold, USOIL, NASDAQ. S&P 500 is almost the same as NASDAQ. It moves the same as NASDAQ. It follows the same trend as NASDAQ. So I normally just come here, just look at a few things and go back to NASDAQ because they are the same. There's no need trading the two when they are the same. Okay. So this is my analysis on the various pairs that I trade. Thank you for watching all the way to this point. Really appreciate like, subscribe, comments, and once again, I'll see you next week. Bye.